So not many people know this about me, guys, but I actually love cars. I am a big fan when it comes to buying cars, and I understand that cars are liabilities. They don't make sense financially. They go down in value, but some things you just like because you're a guy and you're a boy and you just like to go vroom vroom, okay? And cars are one of those things for me. But most importantly, more than cars, I love financial freedom. All right, that to me is super important, a lot more important than a car. But whenever you get me with a problem that says, hey, I like cars, but they go down in value, I appreciate money and financial freedom, so how can I buy a car and not lose any money like 90% of people out there? That gave me a good problem to solve. So then I headed to courses, headed to videos, and I found out how this whole thing works. And I took several courses to figure out exactly how do you buy a luxury vehicle and sell it for a break-even point or even a profit? How do you purchase a car and basically sell it to actually make money? So today, I drive a 2014 Toyota Prius. Before you start laughing, just give me a second because you should be jealous because I do save a ton of money on gas. But hear me out here. I drive this car because in actuality, my biggest purpose right now is financial freedom, but I have my eyes on something else once I'm done with this part of my life. But you guys know, okay, priorities are priorities. But even this car that I bought, that little Toyota Prius, when I bought it, I paid $9,000 for it in cash. The car value is about $12,000. So just by buying it instantly, I pocketed $3,000 profit, or I have $3,000 in built-in equity. Now you might say, Tommy, how is that possible? The answer is, I know how the game works. And by the end of this video, you're also gonna know how the game works, okay? And that's the most awesome thing. When you can figure out a way to buy the things you like, to buy the things you love, things you care about overall, okay? And to buy it in a way where it doesn't actually hurt you. That to me is super, super important. I didn't wanna be driving a Mercedes, like I like Mercedes, by the way. Even though they're not good, I don't care, okay? But I didn't want to be driving one of these cars and not have a house. So for me, buying a home first, which I did do, and paying that off, which I did do, was a lot more important than driving a fancy car. To me, having an investment account that pays me more money than I make, than I spend basically, was more important than a car, so I did that stuff first. And I'm getting close to the point where I can buy something like this and not really worry about the money being burnt, because that's what it kind of does, but in a smart way where you get to make money or break even, and that's what I'm gonna teach you guys in this video. As always, guys, like this video on top of that. Also subscribe, hit the bell to get notified. And by the way, if you're watching this video and you're not investing, you still have a bunch of debt, you don't have an emergency account, you wanna buy a home, all that stuff, watch videos on this channel, because in reality, I talk about those things also. Cars are cool, but financial freedom is a lot cooler, okay? Now, the very first thing, guys, is this. When it comes to buying a car, the biggest benefit that you're going to get is basically buying this car used. And here's why. You know, I remember talking to a friend, and he told me, Tommy, buying a car used is like wearing a dirty underwear, like somebody else's underwear. That is disgusting. And I was like, are you dumb? Are you stupid? And here's why I think that, because you live in a rented apartment, you don't know how many people lived there before, and it's not yours, you don't own it, but you're fine with that. But a car that's used is like a dirty underwear. That makes absolutely no sense. The truth is, when you buy a used car, you have somebody else take care of all the liabilities associated with that car. Because as we know, one of the biggest terrors when it comes to trying to buy a car and sell it for a profit is going to be depreciation. And depreciation happens through a few factors, okay? And I want to mention them here fully. You have mileage. If you drive this car like it's Uber, it's gonna be over. That thing is gonna depreciate like crazy. You have, for example, fuel economy. You also have shifting consumer likes. And what that basically means is if your car is like a Hummer and it's not really efficient anymore, people probably won't wanna buy it, and it goes down in value. If people don't really care about, for example, those two-door cars anymore, and they're moving over to SUVs, people probably won't care about the car anymore. On top of that, the condition. Are you actually taking care of this car? Is it damaged or not? Those things affect depreciation also, and also the reputation of the car. If you're driving a Mitsubishi or one of those cars that people just kind of don't trust, then obviously as time goes by, that car is going to depreciate like fire, okay? You cannot stop it. But overall, depreciation is the biggest factor. Now, there is something called a depreciation curve, and this right here is super important. Here's why. Because at a certain point, depreciation tends to slow down or actually average out. This happens especially with very expensive cars like Ferraris and Lamborghinis and all that luxury stuff, because it reaches a certain peaking point where the car just completely slows down as far as depreciation. And it also happens with a lot of normal cars around year 5 and year 7. But the biggest part of depreciation hits between 3 years, 5 years, and 7 years. And that should not be kind of like a surprise, because that's usually the loan terms. And you're in those loan terms, people usually want to switch out cars and buy another one, but by that point, they take a big L. So whenever you buy a used vehicle, remember, you're having somebody else pay the fee of depreciation and owning the car brand new. And I remember when I took that course, man, this guy said this one thing that changed my mindset about used cars forever. He said, I get to drive a car that was basically purchased for like $100,000. I get to drive it for like $30,000, $40,000, use it, sell it for break even or a profit, and I am good to go to buy another one and enjoy the ride and the experience. To me, that is pretty awesome. Now, as an extra added bonus, I went on Dave Ramsey's website, and he also has, for example, a lot of cool stuff here that talks about, for example, what happens when you actually buy a car brand new. First of all, the first minute you down by like $3,000 or so. By year 5, the car basically usually goes down by like 60%. But obviously, depending on the brand, that doesn't always happen that way exactly. Because some of the cars that basically depreciate the least are gonna be Jeep Wranglers, Toyota Tacomas, Toyota's Tundras, Nissan Frontier, Toyota 4Runners. So you want to look for the cars that basically they tend to hold up their value, and a big factor in that is this car built to last, or is it just built to look nice but then cost the person a lot of money and basically just go down in value, okay? You want to look out for that. And the cars that basically depreciate the most, they're also here. And you see here, Mercedes, BMW, Chevrolet, Nissan, and also Ford Fusion. So obviously, whenever you're buying one of these cars, you want to avoid the things that have a track record for being lousy investments overall. And by the way, cars not an investment, all right? But you want to buy something that in the first 5-6 years, it takes a hit, but not that much. And after that, it tends to slow down the depreciation curve, and you're able to take advantage of it like crazy. That's the cool thing about buying a used vehicle. Now, the second part when it comes to buying a car and trying to make a profit or just break even, by the way, that's also a very good result, just breaking even on something that nobody breaks even on. The answer is going to be you want to buy or try to buy below market value, all right? Now, this is super important, and it means you have to be patient. Now, one big factor is you might think, Tommy, why will anybody sell me something for less than it's actually worth? It happens all the time. You have to have negotiation power. And you know what I learned via a study? I learned that real estate agents, whenever they sell their own houses, they tend to sell them for more money than they actually sell their customers' houses, because in reality, they know the game, they know how to play, and they're a lot patient when it comes to just waiting for a better price. So whenever you're trying to buy a vehicle, you also have to say, I'm gonna wait for a better price, for an opportunity to actually buy at a discount. That's what you usually wanna do. Now, some factors are, if you're paying in cash, that makes a difference, because cash is still king. And if someone has a car and is selling, for example, for a fair price, and you say, hey, I'll give you $2,000 less, $3K less, but guess what? I'm gonna pay you in cash right now. I'll meet you up right now and I'll pay you right now. That makes a big difference, okay? Cash on hand makes a big, big difference. Number 2 is being patient. It takes time to go ahead and find a good deal. If you are in a rush, it's going to be a problem because things take time. Third is you want to also go ahead and not fall in love with the car, in the sense that you want to buy something you actually like, yes, but if you are emotionally bound to this car and you actually want to get it, you're not going to be able to focus, okay? So here's an example. When I bought my car, I used all these techniques. I knew this car was actually selling for less. They knew it, and that's why I wasn't able to negotiate it below $9,000, but I had cash. And that basically meant that every single other person that wanted the car, Did not get it, because the minute I stepped in with cash, they were just willing to negotiate with me a lot more than anybody else had to get a loan or whatever it was. And when I bought my little Toyota, I wasn't emotionally attached to this car. I just wanted to get a car because I needed a car, and it was a decent car, and I knew I was basically buying it at a discount. That's what you got to do. And I was also patient. Before I bought that car, I was looking at a Mazda 2019. It was like $23,000. I was gonna pay cash for that too, but thank God it did not work out because they had some issues or whatever. But if I had bought that car, depreciation would have taken me over completely, because again, I liked that car a lot, and I was emotionally attached to it, and it would have been a terrible deal because I wasn't buying it below market price. And it takes time to find a great deal. That's a part of the game. Now, number 3, guys, once you buy the car, obviously this is just like common sense, you want to take care of the vehicle. So when I got my car, I got some wheels on it because the other wheels were kind of like worn out. I take care of it with oil changes, I do the maintenance, I make sure the car is pretty good, and I don't try to get the car damaged and so on. But the idea is, if you want to have some good results, you want to take care of the car. If you want to have some poor results, you're gonna have, for example, like a poor car, right? So people buy a car, they don't take care of it, they wonder why they can't sell it for a profit because the car looks like trash. But if you take care of it, you actually maintain it, you do everything you should, it kind of retains value in that sense, especially if you bought it below market price. That's the entire idea. That's number 3. It's just once you get the car and you get it under the right circumstances, just don't forget to actually take care of it, because after you drive it, after maybe like a few months, it starts to feel like any other car. But don't forget, the whole idea is to buy it at a discount and then sell it at a break-even point, or to actually make money. So if you consider this car to kind of like not really be yours, you just taking care of it for somebody else, you'll actually take care of it probably like a lot more. And don't ruin the car in that sense. Now, the third part, guys, is when it comes to selling this car, or the fourth part is when it comes to selling this car, you want to make sure you sell this car yourself. You don't want to go to a third party. You don't want to get it traded in. You don't want to have somebody else sell it for you, because usually when that happens, you're going to be taking in some fees. You're going to be taking like a massive discount, and don't fall for the I have cash thing, because we know how those things work. So when it comes to actually selling the car, selling the vehicle, remember, you make the money when you buy the car. You don't make the money when you sell the car. And that basically means that if you bought the car for a fair price or above fair value, when you sell it, you're gonna lose money. But if you bought the car for a discount, you automatically have an equity in there. And as depreciation goes down, you still have an equity to eat that stuff up and actually break even or potentially make a profit. Now, the idea is whether you choose to sell that car in a year or 2 years, is actually up to you. Just do the math and calculate it. But there's also one other thing I actually want to add. A lot of luxury vehicles, okay, after 5 to 7 years, they basically go down like crazy. So if you're actually able to buy a car like that for a fair price or below value, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna use this car until the wheels fall off, that's also a good deal. Just don't buy something that's brand new and then you basically have to pay that depreciation fee. Have somebody else pay that for you. If you buy that car, for example, if I were to buy this, probably like not this car honestly, but if I were to buy, for example, a nice car, I would buy 5 to 7 years old, try to buy it at a discount, and if I'm gonna ride it out until the wheels fall off, which is, I don't really mind it, then I wouldn't really care that much. Like, I really want to make sure the car is nice and solid. But as time passes, like, it's gonna retain some value. And when I resell it, I have to think about, for example, all the use I got out of the car, and it also becomes a part of the actual resale value. Meaning, if you used it, you got a big discount, and then you quantify all those things, and then you say, I sold it for this much, you might break even though you didn't really just sell it, for example, for $1, sold it for $1, you bought it for $1, sold it for 50 cents, but when you calculate everything else you got out of it, you might break even also, okay? So it's just a way to do the math that actually makes sense in the brain. Now guys, as always guys, thanks for watching. That is it for this video. I hope it actually helps you. Don't forget, be patient, buy used, and just take care of the car. The deal, the money is actually made on the buy, not on the sell. And by the way, Dave Ramsey has some great articles on depreciation, the best cars to buy, the little rules to follow when it comes to buying a car, how much car to buy. So check his videos out also, because they helped me out a lot when I was making this video. And as always guys, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified, comment down below car if you made it all the way to the end of the video. And my next car, man, I don't know what it's going to be, okay? I don't know. I'm not even gonna give a hint, okay? But I'm looking forward to when the time comes, all right, guys? As always, guys, peace out. Sorry about that. Peace. Look at this. Look at this. Peace. Okay. More videos here. Faces here. And as always, guys, long-term team out.